It's been almost a year since my last video and 3 since I made the art of flanking. And guess what? Paladins got a mastery and I need to do something about it, so here we are. Paladins. Never expected a day I'll be enjoying them again. What a time to be alive. Let's go over the doctrines and the veterancy lines first. There are 2 ways to play this unit. The new way is top line, which lowers the healing cooldown to 25 seconds, so you can use it to initiate the engagement and finish it with another cast. The other way is to maximize armor and heal during the engagement, so you can use the heal to get out of any crowd control or heal when you really need it. Both are viable, with top line being the majority pick right now. I personally use bottom line to take advantage of the armor it provides. Doctrine wise, there isn't a lot of options since they don't deal enough charge damage to make charge doctrines viable. You are left with damage Ironsides, unit damage, anti-infantry, and noble blood being must picks. For the last, you can either use leadership or if you're bottom line like me, you want to use your best slashing armor to grant yourself better protection against Iron Reapers and Wu Wei. Now, that out of the way, we can get ourselves into the gameplay. And oh boy do I have a lot of things to say about Paladins. They may look very easy to play, but they actually have a lot of micro-intensive things you could do. Well, I should explain myself here. The F3 shield formation is what you need to spam if you want the unit to deal optimal damage by using the unit density. But Alan, wouldn't that stop them from counterattacking? Well, look at how I killed this glaive then. What I'm trying to do here is focusing the entire unit onto the enemy hero and then pressing V to let them enter their passive block state. And because of their unit density and the hero's tendency to hit every single unit with their skills, you can have a hero trigger your entire unit into counterattacking them at the same time. You don't need the enemy hero to attack your unit either. As long as you dense up, no hero can escape their imminent demise. Yes, this works very well on heroes, as I am demonstrating here, but as the game goes on, I want you to know that they can do this to any units too. Here is another trick you can pick up. You can move your units to attack the enemies far away quickly by using long V. When you do so, they will move quickly to hit the enemy but will not counterattack. So once you see any damage numbers pop up, you want to go press V to have them go into the passive block stance to casually double or triple their damage. This would be the only case I'll put them in V without other controls, as personally, I think using formations on Paladins is the way to go. Even in blob fights, you can use the shield formation to pick exactly which unit you want to fight, as long as you move your Paladins into them instead of having the Paladins on V, hoping they do it themselves. Now, the F3 formation is not the only formation I like spamming. F1 or Dispersed I use to push the unit into the enemy so as to get over their slow blocking movement. This is when being bottom helps a bit, as they tend to take damage from the back and side, so the extra armor allows for a bit more aggression against weaker units. That being said, Paladins have one major weakness. Even with their armor, their block and their great sustain, they are nothing when Cavalry exists. So do not under any circumstance fight when there is no anti-cav around. But if you are forced to, play around the edges of Cavalry's playground so you have the upper hand. My teammates here made the mistake of walking onto the ground without anti-cav support, so they got eaten alive. Whereas I waited for the right moment when Ironsides and healing is back up to quickly support and take out the enemy stragglers. And with that, back up the staircase. I'm waiting for my team to bring phalanxes so I can have the confidence to not get one shot by roaming cavalry. So even though I see my team on the other side fighting, I do not spot any anti-cav in their mix either. So I'm not going to take the risk to walk there when cavalry could be around any of the infinite corners of this map. While I wait for something to happen, I'll need to explain a bit about block recovery for these Paladins, as their entire counterattack mechanic depends on them having enough block to trigger counterattack in the first place. So a month back, I went on another test with Azakai to check out the current blocking stat of units in this game. What we found was the block recovery delay we spotted a few years back doesn't exist anymore. So this means shield block is always recovering regardless of whether they are hit. Other than this one odd unit, Shield Maidens, which still have a 1.5 second delay, this explains why Shield Maidens cannot be used on the front lines despite having more block, while Men-at-Arms and Paladins can do now. This also means you can recharge your block near the front lines. Even if you take a few hits, it wouldn't stop your unit from recovering at its maximum speed. Now, the importance of this finding is we want to conserve our Paladin's block to attack as much enemies with it in a small amount of time. Then we want to wait a few seconds to recharge the block. This means if you allow Paladins to roam freely in V mode, the front few models will keep being attacked until they get block broken, and slowly the unit will lose all of its models. But if you use formations to push the entire unit in, you can quickly use up the unit's block and just as quickly move out of the way to recharge for another push. A lot of this is getting the feel of how much your unit's block is left, so you need to push your units to the limit to gauge when they need to back off to recharge their shields. So then when it comes to using Paladins, you want to have a pace of going in and out, sometimes using charge to group up on the front lines, and other times allow the unit to roam in V's so that a few models can bleed more enemy models. So Paladins provides quite a lot of tools at our disposal. Once you become familiar with the unit, you'll notice that you can leverage this mechanic to survive fights without losing models, all the while dealing damage comparable to a tier 5 unit in favorable matchups, which currently includes almost everything. This is why the unit is fully in the meta. Alright, we have finally waited long enough for a phalanx to appear, and now we're going to tag along as their bodyguard for the rest of the game. This means keeping an eye out about where they are, if any cavalry is going to come at us from corners, and making sure they don't get snitched by random things. We waited way too long for this. Again, beware of cavalry first, taking minor unit kills on the side. You can see me peeking the corners very often as to not get surprised, because I know the enemies are waiting right this moment. It's a guarantee, just a question of where and when the next cavalry will appear. So let me speed up the gameplay so I can get to another fight. This map right now is about making your way to the enemy home point without being flanked, so it may lack any substantial action here. It's all about staying with the team's anti-cavalry unit so you can keep them safe and keep yourself safe. Really, they are the best synergetic units right now in the game you want to play around. Alright, skipping to the last point. This being a random battle, I'm aiming to be a bit more opportunistic here, fighting battles I can influence the outcome of instead of being part of the meat grinder. I'll have my team take the Iron Reaper charge first, then go in with my F3 formation. Drawn out fights like this are what Paladins excel in, so I'm going to deal as much damage as I can before the unit's block breaks. If you've been paying attention, you can see my units losing a chunk of HP every few seconds, and that would be the Lion Roar crew behind enemy lines going through the Paladin's block, dealing direct damage to them. After a quick break to recover a bit of block, and when I come back I'm going to heal the front lines again, but as you see, Paladins are extremely vulnerable to Lion Roar cannon shots, as I just lost half my entire unit from another barrage. But at this point we need to push regardless of the losses, so I'm going to stun these Mordor with my ult and then finish them off with my Paladins with formations. And now knowing the cannon crew is in the back lines, I'm going to dip out of battle for a slight moment to recover, and next I'm going to push my Paladins to take out any remaining ranged units. And that is basically the end of this push. Taking out a few of the last stragglers, using the F3 formation again, really need to have this dig in as not enough players know about using it, will result in a victory. Well, after I put in a trebuchet for good measure. But that doesn't seem like it's going to be that easy. The enemy has already started pushing a new counterattack and our team basically has no one left to stop them. So I'm here trying to hold them off and even using the heal's crowd control recovery against the enemy's musket bomb and using iron sides. But alas, my Paladins succumb to the overwhelming ranged firepower the enemy has, which is just enough to grab a victory. A great game with only Paladins used, getting most valuable support and most valuable player. That's 5 hero kills, 138 unit kills, and nearly 1400 unit kill score for a 9-minute game. Well, that's the end of the video. Next season is Sparta and I might be back on track to make more videos, so do like and subscribe and maybe comment about what I should make more videos about. There's a lot of things I could cover for the year of content I missed out on. And that would be that. I'll see you guys in the next video.